Georgia got a little scared there. Got a little scared there at the beginning of that game. Going into halftime, Georgia was down to unranked South Carolina 14-3. 14-3. Now, I also understand and anticipate the fact that last year, and we've mentioned this, last year the quarterback play all across college football, in my opinion, but especially towards the top with Georgia, with Alabama, with Ohio State, with Michigan, with TCU, honestly, the quarterback play was at a really, really high level. And I think the depth at the quarterback position in college football over the last 3 to 5 years has really thrown people off, because now the college football depth is nowhere near what it used to be or what it has been in the last 5 years. The top programs in the country have struggles at the quarterback position. Alabama has no clue what's going on at quarterback. Carson Beck at Georgia is so average, it's crazy. Now, he can get by with that because Georgia's defense is always amazing, but still, it's a step down from Stetson Bennett. Ohio State seems to be having real definitive issues at the quarterback position. The top programs are struggling to pump out the high-level quarterback production that we've seen in years past. You lose Bryce Young, you lose CJ Stroud, you lose Stetson Bennett, I felt like a lot of that quarterback depth was at a really high level. And this year you have quarterback standouts. You have Caleb Williams, you have Quinn Ewers, you have Jordan Travis. But if I were to take, let's just say, I think those, most people would agree, those are the top 3 college quarterbacks right now. In maybe no particular order, I think mutually most people agree Caleb Williams at USC is the best quarterback in college football. But if you go down the list, I mean, you got Caleb Williams, Michael Penix at Washington, who's played on how many different teams in college? Quinn Ewers, who's pretty solid at Texas. But just quickly here, another team that struggled significantly was Texas over Wyoming. Texas won 31-10. Okay. That doesn't seem that big of a deal. But going into the fourth quarter, the game was tied 10-10. The game was tied. Quinn Ewers got outdueled in terms of passing yards by the Wyoming quarterback. Now, that doesn't mean, they ran the ball 31 times, Texas did, but Wyoming ran the ball 38 times. Just really interesting that some of these teams at the top seem to just be struggling. And back to the topic of quarterbacks for just a second, okay? For just a second. You go through the draft last year, you're looking at the quarterbacks that are available or coming out of college into the draft. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, obviously Bennett, Duggan. That group, the group of quarterbacks that were draft eligible last year that went in the draft, in my opinion, are significantly better than the quarterbacks that will be available in this year's draft. Caleb Williams is a very, very talented quarterback, and he's probably going to go top 3, if not first in the draft. And after that, you've got Quinn Ewers, Michael Penix, Jordan Travis, like a lot of, in my opinion, B-level quarterbacks. Jordan Love type quarterbacks where they're going to come in, they're not going to start, get some reps as a backup. Those other guys I mentioned in last year's draft were immediate impact starters. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. It's a step down, and because of that, I think it's throwing off the whole college football spectrum in 2023. People are like, are they good? Is Florida State a good team? Is Jordan Travis a good quarterback? I think, yeah, probably. Played well. And then they play Boston College, and they beat it by 2 points. Take it down to the wire. Like, what's going on? Georgia trailing 14-3 at half. Boston College wins by 2, or Florida State over Boston College. And the quarterback's all up in the air. It's a weird year in college football, and it's starting to look a lot like it did last year in terms of any given Saturday, anybody could take anybody down. And I don't know if that's because of the NIL or what happened, but it's really interesting. The college football season this year has been extremely unpredictable, with number 1 Georgia trailing 14-3 at half, number 3 Florida State squeezing out a win over Boston College, Texas being tied with Wyoming 10-10 in the fourth quarter. Anybody could potentially beat anybody in this year's college football world. It's really interesting to see. It's really unpredictable. And I think if I were to put my money on teams that I think have the best chance to win it all, in my opinion, it's going to be the teams that have the most standout definitive quarterbacks to lead their teams to victory. Notre Dame and Sam Hartman, Quinn Ewers in Texas, potentially Bo Nix at Oregon. But all of those teams have the complementary pieces around them to make sure that even if they don't play at their absolute peak, their team could probably still pull off a victory.